Let me ask you something. You walk into a drone store. You see two boxes sitting side by side. They weigh the same. They fly the same. They can both shoot 4K at 100 frames per second. They both dodge obstacles automatically. They're both under 250 grams, which means you can fly them almost anywhere in Europe without a license. So tell me, why does one of them cost exactly double the price of the other? That's the question I've been obsessing over for the last 3 weeks. And today, right now, we are going to answer it. I'm holding the DJI Lito X1, which will set you back around 419 euros. And in my other hand, the DJI Mini 5 Pro, starting at 799 euros. Same family, completely different price tags. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's just the camera sensor, right? Maybe. But here's the thing. I've spent 3 weeks flying both of these drones back-to-back in real wind, through actual trees, chasing a bicycle, in the golden hour, in the shadows, pushing both machines as hard as I can. And what I found genuinely surprised me. So stick with me, because the answer to which drone you should actually buy is probably not what you're expecting right now. The promise. Here's exactly what we're covering today, and I promise every single section is going to matter for your buying decision. First, we're going to do a proper physical comparison, not just the spec sheet, but what it actually feels like to hold these drones, set them up, and use them in the field. Second, I'll break down the specifications side by side, and I'll tell you honestly which differences are real and which ones are just marketing fluff. Third, and this is the part I'm most excited about, we're going to fly both drones at the same time, following me on a bicycle through a challenging course with real trees, real wind gusts, and real obstacles. You'll see the active track performance from both drones simultaneously. And finally, and please do not skip this part, I'm going to give you a very specific, clear recommendation based on your use case. Not a vague, well, it depends. An actual answer. Because your money deserves a straight answer. There's also something important I'm going to reveal at the end of this video about a regulation change coming in 2026 that could affect which of these drones you're even legally allowed to fly the way you want. That alone is worth staying for. Let's get into it. Physical comparison. Before we even talk about flying, let's talk about what you actually get in the box. Because when you're spending this kind of money, the unboxing experience and the build quality tell you a lot about what the manufacturer thinks of you as a customer. Both of these drones fold down into a form factor that genuinely fits in your jacket pocket. I've carried both of them on hikes, on bike rides, and on train journeys, and neither one is ever uncomfortable to carry. That's honestly impressive given how capable both machines are. The folding arms feel solid on both. Neither has any worrying flex or wobble when extended. DJI's build quality on sub-250G drones has come a long way in the last 2 years. Where they start to diverge physically is the camera. Look closely at the Lito X1's gimbal. It's a clean, minimal design, but the camera itself sits slightly smaller than the Mini 5 Pro's. That's because we're looking at a 113-inch sensor versus the Mini 5 Pro's full 1-inch sensor. You can see the physical size difference in the lens element if you look carefully. That might not sound like much, but in practice, that size difference is the entire story of this comparison. One other physical difference that I think is underrated, the Mini 5 Pro supports true vertical shooting. You can physically rotate the camera to portrait mode for Reels, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. The Lito X1 does offer a vertical crop mode in the app, but it's not a true mechanical rotation. If you're creating vertical content professionally, that matters. If you're not, it probably doesn't. The controller experience is consistent across both drones. Both use the DJI Ars N3 in their base packages, the same app interface, and the same intelligent flight modes accessible through the DJI Fly app. There's no advantage or disadvantage here for either drone. You're working with the same ecosystem on both machines, which is genuinely helpful if you own more than one DJI drone. What's actually different? Alright, let's get into the numbers. And I want to do this differently from every other comparison you've seen, because most videos just read out the spec sheet. Instead, I'm going to sort these specs into 2 buckets: actually matters and basically the same. This will save you time and cut through the noise. Basically the same, both drones record 4K video at up to 60 FPS for standard shooting. For slow motion, the Lito X1 goes up to 4K 100 FPS, while the Mini 5 Pro reaches 4K 120 FPS. In full HD, you're looking at 200 FPS on the Lito X1 and two 40 FPS on the Mini 5 Pro. These are meaningful numbers that are close enough for most practical situations, and both are more than sufficient for travel, sports, vlogs, and cinematic content. Both drones offer 10-bit log color profiles. This is significant because it means both give you proper flat, graded footage suitable for professional post-production workflows. D-Log-M is available on both. If you're color grading your footage, you're working with the same theoretical color latitude on both machines. Obstacle avoidance goes 360 degrees on both. The Mini 5 Pro uses fisheye lenses covering front, rear, left, right, and upward directions, plus binocular lenses below and a 3D infrared sensor, all coordinated with a forward-facing LiDAR. The Lito X1 achieves similar protection through omnidirectional vision sensors, plus its own forward-facing LiDAR for added precision at night. In field testing, the practical protection level felt equivalent under normal flying conditions. Crucially, both drones have that front-facing LiDAR, so both can detect obstacles even in very dark situations. Maximum flight time is 36 minutes on both drones using the standard battery. Wind resistance is rated to 10.7 m/s, approximately 38.5 km/s on both. Maximum speed in sport mode is 18 m/s on both. Storage is 42 GB internal on both, with a micro SD slot for expansion. Weight is sub 249 on both, meaning CU class in Europe. Now here's where it actually gets interesting. The Actually Matters list is shorter, but it's also more important. Actually Matters, the sensor. 1-inch versus 1.13-inch. This is the entire argument for the Mini 5 Pro's price premium. A larger sensor collects more light, produces better dynamic range, and handles noise more gracefully in challenging lighting conditions. On paper, this is a significant difference. But, and I want you to hold this thought, in the real world, under normal daylight conditions, the gap is smaller than you might think. I'll show you exactly how small and how large later in this video. Slow motion sealing and HDR. The Mini 5 Pro shoots 4K at up to 120 FPS and Full HD at 240 FPS. And crucially, it shoots 4K 60 FPS in HDR with 14 stops of dynamic range. The Lito X1 tops out at 4K 100 FPS slow motion and Full HD at 200 FPS. And while it does support HDR and 14 stops of dynamic range too, the Mini 5 Pro's 4K 60 FPS HDR combination is a clear upgrade for cinematic daylight work. True vertical mode. The Mini 5 Pro's gimbal physically rotates up to 225 degrees, enabling full sensor true vertical shooting. The Lito X1 supports 2.7K vertical video via a digital crop, which loses resolution and field of view. If your primary output is vertical content for professional clients, this is a real hardware advantage. Aperture. The Lito X1 shoots at f/1.7. The Mini 5 Pro opens up to f/1.8. Counterintuitively, the Lito's faster lens partially compensates for its smaller sensor in low light. This is a subtle point, but it matters when the sun goes down. Before we get to the most exciting part of this video, the actual flying tests, I want to flag something that's going to affect every single person watching this, regardless of which drone you buy. Drone regulations in Europe are changing in 2026, and I don't mean minor tweaks. I mean changes that will affect how, where, and whether you can legally fly these sub-250G drones the way you're used to flying them. Specifically, the C0 class designation that both of these drones carry, that classification that currently lets you fly with minimal restrictions, is being renegotiated at a European level. And if you don't know what's changing, you could find yourself unknowingly breaking the law. I'm running a free masterclass very soon that covers exactly this: the current rules, the incoming changes, and what you'll need to do to stay compliant. Seats are limited because I'm keeping the session small so I can actually answer questions live. The link is pinned in the comments and in the description below. If you fly drones in Europe or plan to, please go register before the spots fill up. It takes 30 seconds. All right, now let's go fly. The active track bike test. All right, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Both drones in the air simultaneously, both locked onto me as the subject, both navigating a real environment with real wind, real trees, and zero pre-planned flight paths. This is as close to a genuine real-world test as it gets. Here's the setup. I'm on a mountain bike. The Lito X1 is following me at close range, about 8 to 10 meters behind. The Mini 5 Pro is following at a wider orbit, roughly 20 meters out, at a different elevation. Both are in full active track mode with obstacle avoidance enabled. I have the controllers in my bag. I am not touching them. Whatever happens next is entirely up to the drone's own intelligence. And We're off. Watch the Lito X1 on the left side of your screen. Within the first 30 seconds, it makes a sharp lateral adjustment to avoid a tree branch that I didn't even notice. No hesitation, no wobble. It just moves around it and locks back onto me immediately. That's the kind of obstacle response that used to cost over €1,000. The fact that a €400 drone is doing this right now is genuinely remarkable. Now watch the Mini 5 Pro. It's taking a wider, more conservative orbit, which makes sense given its position. But watch what happens here, it stops. The Mini 5 briefly loses subject lock when I pass through a denser cluster of olive trees. It recovers within about 8 seconds, but there's a clear gap in the tracking. The Lito, meanwhile, never stopped. It threaded through those branches at close range and kept going. As we hit the open stretch, both drones perform beautifully. Side by side, they're both holding position, compensating for the crosswind, and producing smooth cinematic footage despite the 15 to 20 km/h gusts. This is where you forget you're watching a budget drone. The Lito X1 is absolutely keeping up. And then, the olive grove. This is where I intentionally ride into the most technically demanding section of the course. Heavy canopy, irregular spacing, low branches. Watch the screen carefully. The Mini 5 Pro, at its wider orbit, loses me entirely and hovers in place, waiting for me to re-emerge. The Lito X1, at closer range, does something that I honestly did not expect. It tilts slightly, drops its altitude by about 2 meters, and threads through a gap between two trees. On its own, it finds a way through, and when I emerge on the other side, it's still right there behind me. I want to be clear, at the very end of the course, when I pushed into the absolute densest part of the grove, both drones lost the subject lock and hovered safely. That's the correct response. These are obstacle avoidance systems, not magic. But up until that final 30 seconds, the Lito X1 matched or exceeded the Mini 5 Pro in every tracking scenario I threw at it. That was not the outcome I predicted. Image quality, side by side. This is the section that the specs were pointing to all along. The whole argument for the Mini 5 Pro lives here, in the footage. A larger sensor should mean better images. Let's see if the data actually holds up in the real world, or if the specs are writing checkers that the footage can't cache. First, bright daylight. Both drones set to identical manual settings. 4K at 25 frames per second, D-Log M color profile, automatic exposure. Same scene, roughly the same angle. On your screen right now, you're seeing the split view. At first glance, and I mean your very first impression, they look remarkably similar. The resolution is excellent on both. The sharpness in the center of the frame is very close. If you showed me these clips independently, in different sessions, I would not immediately guess which was the €400 drone. But let's look more carefully. Freeze frame here. Look at the sky in the upper left corner. Brilliant white cloud against blue sky. On the Lito X1, that sky is slightly clipped. The highlight detail is blown out. The Mini 5 Pro, with its larger sensor, holds that sky detail beautifully. You can see cloud texture that simply isn't there in the Lito footage. This is dynamic range doing its job. Now look at the shadows, the underside of those olive branches on the right. The Lito pulls the shadows toward pure black earlier. The Mini 5 renders the same shadows with more visible detail, more separation between dark tones. Again, this is the sensor size advantage expressing itself. In a color grade, the Mini 5 footage gives you more room to push those shadows up without introducing noise. The Lito footage, when pushed, starts to show digital grain in the darkest areas more quickly. Color tone, the Lito X1 renders footage that's slightly warmer and more saturated straight from camera. Some people will actually prefer this. It looks vibrant and punchy. The Mini 5 Pro delivers a more neutral, professional color rendering. For wedding videographers or commercial work where precise color matching matters, the Mini 5 is the clear winner. For travel content or social media where you want something that pops immediately, the Lito's colors might actually work in your favor. Photo quality at 12 megapixels, extremely close. At 50 megapixels on the Mini 5 versus 48 on the Lito, you're seeing a minimal real-world difference. Both can produce print-quality landscape images. Both handle high-contrast scenes reasonably well. The Mini 5 retains slightly more detail in extreme highlight and shadow zones in a single shot, but the difference requires pixel peeping to find. The low light test. Here's the part of the comparison that nobody talks about enough, because most drone videos are shot in perfect midday sunlight. That's not when your buying decision actually matters. Your buying decision matters in the golden hour. It matters when you're chasing a sunset at the coast. It matters when the light drops, and you still want usable footage without cranking the ISO into digital disaster territory. We're now shooting approximately 40 minutes after the official sunset. The light is genuinely low. I've pushed both drones to ISO ISO 800 to keep our comparison fair. Look at the split screen right now. This is where the 1-inch sensor earns its price tag in a way that daylight footage simply cannot. The Mini 5 Pro's footage at ISO 800 in this light is clean. Noise is present, but it's fine-grained and film-like. It's the kind of noise you can either reduce in post or actually embrace as texture. The Lito X1's footage at the same ISO is noticeably grainier. The noise pattern is chunkier and more digital-looking. In the shadows, you start to see color noise, those small patches of random color that signal a sensor working at the edge of its capability. Now, before you completely write off the Lito for low-light work, remember its f1.7 aperture versus the Mini 5's f1.8. That half-stop of extra light collection narrows the gap somewhat. And if you're shooting at golden hour, that beautiful soft orange light before the sun fully sets, rather than deep blue hour, the Lito X1 holds up remarkably well. I've seen Lito footage from that time of day that I would be proud to use in a commercial project. The honest bottom line on image quality: in perfect light, the difference is subtle and manageable in post-production. In challenging light, the gap widens, and the Mini 5 Pro produces footage that requires less rescue work. The question is how often you actually shoot in challenging light, and whether that difference is worth roughly €400 more to you personally. Who should buy which? Okay, here's the straight answer you came for, and I'm going to give it to you in 3 clear profiles, because the right drone depends entirely on who you are and what you do. Buy the Lito X1 if you are a casual to intermediate creator who shoots primarily in daylight or golden hour. You want excellent active track performance, and after today's test, we know the Lito genuinely delivers that. You shoot primarily horizontal content for YouTube, Instagram, or personal projects. You want the best possible drone capability at around €419, and you're not going to be doing professional color-critical work. This drone is a staggering value proposition. For the majority of everyday creators, it does 90% of what the Mini 5 does at roughly half the price. Buy the Mini 5 Pro if you are a professional or serious enthusiast who regularly shoots in low light, mixed lighting, or high-contrast environments. You produce vertical content commercially. You sell footage to clients who need true color accuracy and grading latitude. You absolutely need the best dynamic range available in the sub-249 category, including that 4K 60fps HDR capability and 4K 120fps slow-motion sealing. Or, and this is valid, you simply want the best and you're not willing to compromise. The roughly €400 premium buys you real headroom, especially when the light gets difficult. You're in the gray zone if you're torn between image quality and price, and you're not sure how often you actually shoot in low light. In this case, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, I'd recommend buying the Lito X1 first. Use it hard for 3 months. If you consistently find yourself wishing for more dynamic range or cleaner low-light footage, sell the Lito and buy the Mini 5. You'll lose very little money on the resale, and you'll know with absolute certainty that you need the upgrade. Guessing is expensive. Experience is cheap. One final thing I promised you: the 2026 regulation. Both of these drones carry C0 class marking, which is currently printed on a removable sticker. That removable sticker is intentional. DJI is prepared for the possibility that you may need to request a different class designation from them, depending on how European regulations evolve. The C0 classification, as we know it, is being reviewed, and height restrictions, geographic restrictions, and registration requirements could all change. I'm covering every detail of this in the free masterclass. The link is below. Please register before spots fill up. This is genuinely important. All right, that's everything I've got. 3 weeks of testing, hundreds of gigabytes of raw footage, and 2 drones that genuinely impressed me in different ways. If you've watched this far, you now know more about these 2 drones than 95% of the people who will ever buy them. Give yourself credit for that. Now I want to hear from you. Did the tracking test change your mind? Did the image quality comparison go the way you expected? Drop your honest reaction in the comments. Seriously, I read every single one, and debates in the comments section are half the reason I make these videos. If this video saved you even a little bit of money or confusion, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach other pilots who need this information. And if you're new here and you want more real-world drone comparisons like this one, no fluff, no affiliate bias, just honest flying tests, subscribe. I've got a lot more coming. Next video, the Avata 360. I'm going to do fully automatic subject tracking on a bicycle, but this time with a 360-degree camera system. The results are going to blow your mind. The card is on screen right now. Click it. I'll see you in the next one.